You might ask, are Americans insane? Have you ever watched a town vanish overnight? Have you felt the Mississippi River rise until it swallows the levees, the roads, and the rooftops, leaving nothing but a brown, churning ocean? And yet, have you seen those same people the next morning, sweeping the mud off their porches, brewing a fresh pot of coffee, and saying with a grim smile, well, the garden needed watering anyway? It is a sight that baffles the rest of the world. How can a people live so calmly on the edge of such violence? Welcome to the United States, specifically the storm-battered corridors of the South and the Midwest. We are a nation built on land that tries to kill us. We rival the monsoon belts of Asia and the rainforests of the Amazon for sheer hydrological violence. From the hurricane alleys of Florida to the flash flood canyons of the Rockies, water is not just a resource here, it is a god that demands sacrifice. In the Appalachians, when the superstorms hit, the sky opens up like a wound. Mudslides tear through the tree lines in West Virginia. In the Carolinas, entire neighborhoods turn into lakes. In parts of Louisiana, houses stand on stilts because the ground itself is a temporary concept. Few civilizations could sustain this battering. Yet, the freight trains still howl through the night, on time. The interstates are cleared. The diners stay open. This refusal to bow to the elements is the crystallized American spirit. The storm is a test. It crushes roofs. It severs highways. It stops life. But we do not treat the storm as an enemy. We have spent centuries learning to dance with it. We pitch our roofs deep. We build our basements deep. Neighbors share generators and sandbags. They wade through chest-high water to pull strangers from submerged pickups. In their posture, you see not fear, but a rugged respect for nature and a stubborn determination to outlast it. And when the drought comes, that violence transforms into a blessing. The water that pounded the mountains filters down through the limestone of Kentucky to make the world's finest bourbon. It swells the aquifers that feed the golden cornfields of Nebraska. It is the lifeblood of the Napa vineyards. The winter fury becomes the spring harvest. This interplay of brutality and beauty shapes our culture. In the silence of the mud and the chaos, human warmth burns brighter than any neon sign. This is the American story written in water. Consider the records. We hold the heavyweight titles for precipitation. Mount Washington, the Gulf Coast during Harvey, these aren't just weather reports, they are battle scars. And yet, look at the rankings of our wettest cities. Mobile, New Orleans, Miami. These aren't ghost towns. They are vibrant, beating hearts of culture, jazz, and food. We occupy the throne of the water kingdom, outpacing the gloom of London or the snows of Scandinavia. Why? Geography is destiny. The warm moisture from the Gulf of Mexico collides with the cold fronts coming off the Rockies, or the Canadian Shield. It creates a battlefield in the sky. It dumps oceans onto the plains overnight. Foreign climatologists call it a hydrological miracle. No other industrial nation, wrote Dr. Schmidt, could function with this much water on the rails. But here, the Amtrak rolls on. The streetlights reflect off the flooded asphalt, turning disaster zones into surreal, shimmering mirrors. Tourists from Europe stand on our hotel balconies, stunned into silence. Is this how they live? They ask. Yes. This is our world. We have even turned the rain into art. The waterfalls of the Pacific Northwest draw millions. The mist clinging to the Smoky Mountains is a national icon. We don't fear the rain. We respect it. And sometimes, we turn it into grace. But the test is real. Let me take you back to a night in February 2018. A record-breaking nor'easter bombed out over the Appalachians. Freezing rain and sleet hammered the asphalt. Route 15, a serpentine artery winding through the mountains, was buried under a slurry of ice and mud. It was a night no one who was there will ever forget. The highway was quieter than a grave. Or rather, it had a texture of silence. You could hear the sleet pecking at the metal skins of thousands of cars. You could hear the groan of wiper blades fighting the ice. You could hear the low hum of heaters dying as gas tanks ran dry. Traffic had stopped for miles. 1,500 vehicles, trapped in a frozen snake winding through the dark. Hazard lights blinked like a heartbeat in distress. Red, amber, red, amber. Inside the cars, anxiety was rising. Batteries were dying on phones. Children were shivering under travel blankets. The smell of cold mud and gasoline hung heavy in the air. The isolation was suffocating. Then, a scent cut through the cold. It wasn't gasoline. It was savory. It was the smell of cumin, chili powder, and slow-cooked beef. Up ahead, on the shoulder of the highway, stood Big Mike's roadside diner. The floodwaters had lapped up to his porch. The power was out. He should have locked the doors and gone upstairs. But Mike, a man with grease under his fingernails and a heart the size of a tractor tire, looked out his window. He saw the red taillights. He saw the trapped families. He looked at his walk-in freezer full of beef and beans. The math was simple. They are hungry. I have food. He didn't call the frantic authorities. He didn't wait for permission. He lit the propane burners. The hiss of the gas was a prayer. The oil crackled in the cast-iron skillets. The chili began to bubble. In the dark, his kitchen became a lighthouse. He scooped hot chili into styrofoam bowls. He wrapped cornbread in foil. He walked out into the freezing sleet, knocking on windows. Y'all hungry? It ain't much, but it's hot. The wind tried to tear the heat away, but the bowls were like burning coals in frozen hands. 500 servings. He emptied his pantry. And then the contagion of kindness spread. Down the line, the side door of a massive 18-wheeler slid open. It was a distribution truck for a major bakery chain. The driver keyed his CB radio. Breaker 19, I got a full load of sourdough and white bread back here. I'm breaking the seal. Other truckers chimed in. Copy that. Let's move it. 18 drivers jumped out. They formed a bucket brigade in the mud. Loaves of bread passed from hand to hand. A tourist in a rental sedan rolled down his window. Can I buy a loaf? How much? The trucker, a man with a beard like steel wool, laughed. Put your money away, son. We're all stuck in this mud together. We're all in this together. It wasn't a slogan. It was a survival mechanic. A young mechanic jumped out of his pickup with a shovel, clearing the exhaust pipe of an SUV so the family inside wouldn't die of carbon monoxide poisoning. I got you, he said. No names exchanged. Just the work. Someone handed a blanket to a shivering grandmother. Someone shared a thermos of coffee. Back at the diner, Big Mike threw more wood on the fire. He watered down the soup to make it stretch, added more pepper to spike the warmth. A small tactical decision in a kitchen that translated to massive comfort on the road. The local church threw open its doors. The high school gym unlocked the lockers. A handwritten sign went up on a general store porch. Take water. Leave a note if you want. If not, God bless. You all right, hon? Warm up by the fire. Don't rush. We got all night. By dawn, the wind died. The rain softened. The silence of the terrifying night broke as engines turned over. The mud was still deep, but the panic was gone. People kept the empty chili bowls on their dashboards like trophies. They waved at the cars next to them, not as strangers, but as veterans of the same trench. They didn't know each other's names, but they knew the warmth of their hands. The footage hit the satellites. CNN, BBC, the networks. The spirit of America, they captioned it. Sociologists wrote papers about social capital and crisis altruism. But the people on Route 15 knew it was simpler than that. It was just, here, take this. And, are you okay? When the traffic finally cleared, Big Mike wiped down his last counter. The diner was empty. The pantry was bare. Outside, the mud was drying. He exhaled, looking at the mess. If it happens again tonight, he muttered to the empty room, we do it again. The storm didn't change. Nature is still cruel. What changed was the choice people made. Not to fight the rain, but to share the umbrella. There was a tourist in that traffic jam. Lucas, from Germany. He had come to see the autumn foliage, expecting a picturesque drive. Instead, he got the freezing darkness of an Appalachian storm. He sat in his rental car, watching his breath turn white, terrified. He thought of the horror stories he'd heard about Americans, guns, anger, division. Then came the knock on the glass. A man in a soaking wet Carhartt jacket stood there. His face was red from the cold, but he was grinning. He held out a bag of potato rolls and a bottle of water. "Take it, buddy," the man said. Lucas fumbled for his wallet. "How much dollars?" The man shook his head. "No charge. That's just how we do it here. Folks help folks. Folks help folks." Lucas took the bread. It wasn't just calories. It was a sacrament. He later told a reporter, "I learned more about America in that dark car than I ever would have in a museum. The warmth of the people is stronger than the cold of the storm." The internet comments section exploded. "This is the America I know," one user wrote. "He didn't hand out bread. He handed out hope. This is the secret of the storm country. We don't survive because we are tough. We survive because we are together." The barn-raising spirit of the pioneers didn't die. It just moved onto the interstate. The community is our insurance policy. It's an unwritten contract. I help you dig out your driveway today because tomorrow my roof might blow off. It's not charity. It's pragmatic love. In California, disaster experts were stunned. In other places, disaster isolates, said Dr. Mark Linden of UCLA. Here, disaster connects. It activates a dormant network of trust. The rain will come again. The rivers will rise. The hurricanes will howl. Nature will test us, time and time again. But as long as there is a diner open on a dark road, as long as a trucker is willing to break the seal on his cargo, and as long as a stranger is willing to ask, "You all right?" we will be fine. The rain is cold, but the hands are warm. And if this story warmed you, even a little, pass it on. Share the warmth. Because the storm is always coming, and we